Lassen Family Services and the District Attorney's Office are striving to expand partnerships within the community, to serve the victims of crime, to enhance efforts to meet victims where they are, and to empower crime victims as they pursue justice and recovery. As we engage, we grow. We grow in understanding that we all have a role to play. So what does the word engage really mean? Well, Merriam-Webster defines the word engage as to pledge oneself, to involve or occupy oneself, or to enter into a conflict. We're here today to pledge ourselves to the cause of the victim, and that cause is to empower them. Over the past 30 years, progress has been made in securing victims' rights, protections, and services. The Victims of Crime Act, also known as VOCA, was passed in Congress in 1984, creating a national fund that was financed by fines, penalties, and forfeitures of offenders. VOCA supports victim assistance and services through the Office of the District Attorney, which includes funding for funeral costs, counseling, lost wages, just to name a few. On November 4th, 2008, the voters of the state of California approved Proposition 9, also known as the Victims' Bill of Rights and Marsy's Law. The measure was passed to provide all victims with rights and due process. It provides that in order to preserve and protect a victim's right to justice and due process, a victim shall be entitled to the following rights: to be treated with fairness and respect for his or her privacy and dignity, and to be free from intimidation, harassment, and abuse throughout the criminal justice process, to be reasonably protected from the defendant and persons acting on behalf of the defendant, to have the safety of the victim and the victim's family considered in fixing the amount of bail and release conditions for the defendant, and to prevent the disclosure of confidential information or records to the defendant's attorney, or any other person acting on behalf of the defendant, which could be used to locate or harass the victim or the victim's family, or which would disclose confidential communications made in the course of medical or counseling treatment, or which are otherwise privileged or confidential by law. Victims have the right to be heard upon request at any proceeding in which the right of the victim is at issue. And there are many, many more that are included within the Bill of Rights. I encourage you to visit our information booth and pick up a copy of the Victims' Bill of Rights for yourself today. Here in Lassen County, our victim witness director and victim advocate, they're down at the booth, I do believe. Oh, no, they're not. Denise Stelzer and Latoya Salas represent more than 150 victims a year. In fact, that was last year's number, and it's a low estimate. Denise and Latoya support the victim through the judicial process and uphold victims' rights. In fact, they're in contact with the victim even after the case is completed. They help with notification of motion for judicial release, parole hearings, parole and probation violations, and resentencings. On a daily basis, these two engage and empower local victims of crime. And I just want to say today, thank you to Denise and Latoya. Let's give them a hand. In this rural community where nearly everyone knows someone who's been victimized, or they themselves have been touched by crime, we must pursue avenues that engage and involve everyone across our county, regardless of culture, race, religion, or ethnicity, to join our efforts. Because when one person is hurt by crime, we are all touched by its effects. So you may ask yourself, what can I do? First of all, be aware that many people we know and love are victimized, and don't disclose to anyone what they're going through. Often, the best support you can offer is just to let them know you're there for them, if and when they need you. Recognize that nobody asks or deserves to be a crime victim, and anybody hurt by crime has needs that you can help meet. Be aware of the many victim assistance programs available today to help victims cope with their trauma and their loss. And be aware that if you or someone you know is a crime victim, you have rights. Volunteer and support these programs that are dedicated to helping crime victims. They rely on our communities and concerned citizens to continue their valuable and vital work. We all have a part to play in taking back our communities, being prepared, preventing violent crimes from happening, and supporting those that have been victimized. I encourage you to take some time today to visit the many informational booths that are here today at this event. Ask questions, get educated, and ask them how you can make a difference. In closing, I want the people of Lassen County to know that my office is taking an active role in pursuing justice for crime victims. And though our cause is just and noble, we're faced with many challenges. Locally, we face budget constraints. On a state level, laws are continually being passed here in California that are increasingly lenient on offenders. I know that I speak for more than just myself when I say that sometimes it's tempting to want to just throw in the towel. Some days it seems as though the scales of justice are not as truly balanced as they should be. But though the road may become rocky or the hill becomes steep, we will not give up. As your district attorney, I want victims to know, thank you, that you are not alone. My office will stand with you. You will not be forgotten. Together, we will fight. We will fight for justice, and we will fight for your rights. So let us stand today for victims. Let's pledge ourselves for their hope for the future, for their healing, and for their justice. Thank you.